Hey, boys and girls, it's Friday. I'm making this on Thursday, and it's a nice day so far. So I'm going to finish reading the Super Kids or Super Magazine for you um, about Lewis and Clark. Remember, they were exploring the western part of the United States, west of the Mississippi, trying to get to the Pacific Ocean about 200 years ago. 200 years ago, and 216 years ago. Actually, today is when they started, May 14th, 1804. So I will read through that with you, and then there's an Ask Anything section that talks about the Grand Canyon. Just wanted to pull this up so you can see it. During the second year of the journey, the crew faced more hardships. One evening, they met up with a large grizzly bear. 4 of the men shot the bear, but it still charged at them. The bear came so close that the men dropped their guns and jumped into the river. Finally, one of the men who stayed on shore shot the bear through the head and killed him. The worst was still to come when the crew made its way through the snowy, rugged Bitterroot Mountains. It was so hard to find food that the crew had to kill and eat their horses. They even ate candles and bear grease. In the bitter cold, many crew members got frostbite. Clark was afraid they would starve or freeze to death. Luckily, he found an American Indian nation at the foot of the mountains. The Nez Perce people, as they were called, gave the starving explorers food and shelter. So they were out there by themselves. They didn't know where they were, and it was pretty extreme. The bears were after them. They had to eat things they normally wouldn't eat, like their horses. Um, and thankfully, they came across some Native Americans that helped them. So we look at our captions. It says May 14th, 1805. In an instant, this monster ran at them with an open mouth. And then September 3rd, 1805, we passed over some of the worst road that horses ever passed. Our horses frequently fell. So the horses couldn't really even handle where they were walking. Tough job they were doing. Okay, next page. The Nez Perce people also taught Lewis and Clark's crew to make canoes by digging out the centers of large logs. Using the dugout canoes, the crew hoped to follow the Columbia River all the way to the Pacific Ocean. But the river was swift and treacherous. The swirling water overturned one canoe. Another canoe was split open on the rocks. The crew didn't give up. They kept paddling until they got to the end of the river, where it met the rolling blue waters of the Pacific Ocean. Our goal is reached at last, wrote Clark in his journal. The crew returned east with many exciting tales to tell. Their dangerous journey had taken nearly 2 years. Today, you can drive the same route in 6 days. Along the way, they had discovered 178 new plants and 122 new animals that before only Indians had known about. They made peaceful contact with nearly 50 American Indian nations. Above all, they showed a way through the wilderness for others to follow. America could be settled from ocean to ocean and become the nation we know today. So they did a really important job when they were exploring. They were making it so that our country could get larger because now we knew what was out there in that portion where they were. And you can see that they reached the ocean on November 7th, 1805. So, long time of being in the wilderness and not really knowing where they were going. They were very brave. Okay. On the next page, we talk about the Ask Anything section. You can see it's a big picture of the Grand Canyon. And it says, Ask anything. What's so grand about the Grand Canyon? The Grand Canyon is a vast hole, that means very big, in the earth in the state of Arizona. You've never stood on the edge of it, or if you've ever stood on the edge of it, you know it's a magical sight. Look out, and the canyon seems to stretch out forever. Look down, and you may feel dizzy. The bottom of the canyon is more than a mile beneath your feet. The Grand Canyon began forming millions of years ago, deep underground. Two pieces of the earth bumped up against each other. The land was forced up into the sky. This created a plateau, or a mountain that's flat on top. The Colorado River flowed over the plateau. Waters are very powerful when it flows through an area for many years. Rivers can make changes by washing away small amounts of rock at a time. Over millions of years, the river carved deep gashes in the plateau. The result was a huge, beautiful Grand Canyon. What if the Grand Canyon's beauty had been ruined? What if people had bought the land and built homes, highways, mines, and factories on it? Luckily, that didn't happen, and it never will. The Grand Canyon is one of 58 national parks that have been saved as wilderness. National parks preserve what's wild and wonderful about our country. We can enjoy them, learn from them, and take in their beauty. Isn't it grand? I've never been to the Grand Canyon. Um, we've flown over it a few times, and it is very, very large and grand. I would like to go see it one time. I don't know if I would be as brave as this guy down here because he looks like he's very close to the edge. That would probably make my belly feel a little funny. So go back, read this over to yourself in Super Kids Online Fun. You won't be able to do it on the computer very well because my screen is blocked by my picture and the bottom square. So go to Super Kids Online Fun and read it to yourself if you can't do it on the computer. And then there'll be a question for Lewis and Clark and a question on the Grand Canyon page. All right, it's a good job. It's a beautiful day today, Thursday, and tomorrow, Friday. When you're doing this, it's supposed to be even nicer. So get out and enjoy yourselves and have a great weekend. And I will talk to you on Monday. Bye, kids. Where's my mask?